Hey guys, today we're here with Shanae. Hi Shanae, how are you? Good. Shanae is very much the girl that loves to be on trend with her cut and colour, and the haircut is a part of a collection that we're launching called Blushing Blondes. We'll get started. So I'm just working through the back here on Shanae. I'm using 90 degrees to the scalp, so we're layering it. What we want to do is we want to introduce some movement into Shanae's hair without compromising the length here too much. So today we're focused on this area to really reinvent this shape. We've had a clubbed textured bob for quite some time. And I think it's okay to admit that it's run its race and it's time to change it a little bit. And the way we're going to introduce change today is by changing the shape rather than a dramatic change in the length. So once I work through vertically, what I like to do is just stand up off the chair. I'm just going to cross-check horizontally to make sure that we are balanced. And sitting back down, just want to really make sure that we've shaped that hair in nicely. Actually going to come back down below 90 degrees because it wasn't shaping the hair enough in the back. So I'm now back, even though it's only just, we're back into actually the graduation realm because obviously once we drop below 90 degrees, it's no longer layering. But again, I'm making sure you guys can all see that the length is falling out here on the ends, so I'm not having any impact on the overall length of Shanae's hair, which is really important because we don't want to go too much shorter, we just want a different shape. Part one of the haircut's now finished, so we just shaped the underneath. So you probably saw I started with layering, and then what I noticed is it wasn't having enough impact on the shape because I wanted to sit into the nape a little bit more, and the reason why this happens is because all heads are a different shape, so sometimes you may get a graduated effect by using layering, but we weren't getting enough of a graduated effect, so I went back and I just adjusted my angle. So now I'm going to move straight onto layering the top, and we're just going to use a really awesome go-to layering technique called square layering or box layering. So what the goal is I've now shaped the underneath, we're now going to shape the top, and then we're going to join the two together by going through the middle. Spin Shanae around just a little bit so you guys can see. I'm picking all this up and making sure that we hit that marker. The hair that falls out, don't go chasing it. It's meant to fall out. We're going to bring the sides in. Make sure we're staying horizontal. Body position is very important for this. And now again, we're just going to do it on the other side here. We bring it up to create that beautiful square shape. Not to the side. Want to make sure we're coming straight up. Don't cut the corners off. Now once I've done that, I'm going to sit back down. So I'm at eye level. It's very important for me to make sure that not only we're in the best position for our client, but also ourselves. We stand on our feet for a long, long time during the day. So I would say it's best to sit down as often as you can. So what you're now going to notice, if I loosen this up, we've got our length here on top, we've got a length here underneath, and now we're just going to match the two together. If you could dip your chin for me, Shanae, that'd be great. Thank you. And We should be able to see our starting and finishing point when I lift it out. And there it is there. Working through onto the other side. Last section. Just going to get you to your head to the side. I do this just because I find that because I'm right-handed, my comb generally gets in the way of the shoulders, so just by moving the head position it helps me a little bit. And just remember, it's all about where your fingers are pointing. Make sure your fingers are pointing in the right direction, because if they're not, you're not going to cut the right shape. So I want to shape this into the nape, so I'm pointed back down towards the nape. Spin your nape back round. And that's the back done. So as you can see, in the interest of time, I've pre-sectioned Sinead's hair, and this follows on from the section I did in the back. Sinead, if you could just look up here for me, that'd be great. You can see that I've just got that nice little square shape going through there, and we're going to work our length back to that guide that we've created in the back. And I just like to work in 1 centimetre sections at a time. This is where it might get a bit scary for Sinead, because this is where the majority of the length is going to come off. It looks like we're going quite short, but we're not. Again, we want to keep this square, so we're going to bring the sides in, but we need to make sure that we project them back up here, and you can see that there's just that little bit hair to cut off. Repeat on this side. Don't go chasing the corners. It's not wrong, but we don't want to cut this off. Try and stay neat if you can. I know we have commercial restraints as hairstylists, so we need to try and be as efficient as we can, but that doesn't mean we should rush. Again, I can't stress enough, don't cut the corners off. We're keeping this straight through the top here. Last section, straight along the crest line. Leave that out for now. So we end up back at, I'll just spin Sinead around. We end up back at our starting point. It's a little bit tricky when we get to here because there's a lot of hair that we're trying to coordinate back into the one section, but be patient. Look for that guide. There it is. You can see the hair falling out. And then spin you right around so you can see this last side here. Nothing to cut there, just incorporating the sides in, making sure we don't cut those corners off. Nothing there, and we'll do a complete 360 and we're back. Bringing this final side in And there'll just be that tiny little bit there. So the reason why I love this technique, guys, is because it actually gets rid of that pyramid that's going on. You can see now it falls quite square and it's actually really funky. Haven't compromised any length at all, and what it's allowed us to do is change the shape in here and sit in a little bit tighter and flatter for Shanae. And we're going to leave this front as it is. We're just going to do something a little bit tricky there. I'm going to show you that now. Throughout this series of videos we've been doing for Matrix, the Blushing Blonde series, and obviously the Rebond series, we've been talking a lot about this wow section, or the W section. So I'm going to use the same section again on Shanae today, but this will be the third time I've used it, but it's a completely different result, and I'm going to show you why. So I've started with just combing the hair forward. We're just going to start allowing the hair to fall naturally because I want to find a nice natural centre parting. I think this works best, and you can see if I just push the hair forward, it falls there perfectly for Shanae. So I'm going to take this all the way to the crown, and then we start with our first part of the section. So I'm just going to place my finger around about here, and we're going to do a triangle section here first. So I'll just spin it around so you guys can see. So first on this side, I'm just going to tuck this behind the ear temporarily, just so we can get a gauge for the amount of hair that we're putting in this section. Yeah, and I'll spin it back around this side so you guys can see me do it on this side. And you can see that I've now created the first part of our W section. Then what we're going to do is go from this corner to in behind the ear, and we just want to go to the corner part of the ear. So we're actually going to just go to this part of the ear here on the corner. I'm going to pull that away. So you're going to make that just a little bit deeper. Just gently comb that back. We don't need to section it out. Combing it away is enough. I'll spin Shanae around, and we're going to repeat the same on the other side. Okay, so I'm going to spin her back so you guys can see what I mean by the W section. I'm just going to spin you back towards the camera, Shanae. Thank you. And if you could put your head forward for me, you'll be able to see that W section in there. So we've gone here. So we've used that all week. We've been using this with our colour and also with our cutting. So now I'm going to show you how we're going to incorporate that into this haircut. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create some layering. So I'll get you to pop your head up for me, gorgeous. We're going to take our little triangle, the first part we did in the triangle. Lucky I checked, we need to adjust that just a little bit more. Hairlines are different on this side. So let's go back and make sure that that's perfect. Yep, can we put your head back forward again? So I've made that adjustment, so it's now the same. Now we're just going to start with this middle triangle, and all I want to do is I want to preserve the integrity of the perimeter, but I want to create something in the interior that makes it look a little bit different. And we want to go short to long. So what we want the hair to do is to actually fall forward, hit the longer length underneath, and kick out. And the best way to do that is to do short to long. So I'll spin you back this way so you guys can see the angle that I'm using. So I'm going to actually go back here, and we're going to go short to long. We're going to make it a little bit more dramatic. We might even project it a little bit further out over, because you can see what that allows us to do is by spreading it we can actually make it more angled. Now these pieces here we're actually going to do the same, and you probably think, well, what's actually that going to create? We're about to find out. So we pick these up also. What falls out falls out. We bring this up into the center, and we over direct it, and we're going short to long. We leave that. Spin Shampoo around this way. We do the same with this. You're probably asking already, how are you going to make sure that it's the same length on both sides? Quite easily. This is the length here. Pull this up into there, and I've got myself a guide. Because I'm right-handed, I'm actually going to have to squeeze through. It's always good to stand behind your work. So the hair that falls out, we're not concerned about. When that drops out, we know we're on our marker. There we are. And these two are now the same. Fantastic. So let's see if we can see it now. You'll see once I spin Shampoo back around what it's done. So all of a sudden, instead of having that classic bob length and shape, we now have the hair starting in short, it's kicking in here, it's going to make it flick out if we want to style it a little bit differently. The last step we need to do is we need to connect the front and the back. I'll show you how we do this. It's a little bit unconventional. If you could pop your head forward for me, Shampoo, please. We're going to comb all this forward. Be gentle. We don't really need a section as such, but make sure you don't have any hair stuck behind the ears. So there's a little bit of hair stuck back here. We just need to make sure that any hair that could potentially reach this point can and is. If you need to work in a section, in a traditional sense, you can. I'm not saying you can't. I'm saying that there's no point trying to section out this and comb it down here when it's not going to reach. So then we take one big long section right in the front. If you could spin to your right, Shampoo, please. Everyone see that? Yep. And keeping the head down, we're now going to find our short and long point, and it's just going to be a little weight line, and you'll see it in a sec. Now you've seen your section. I'm just going to spin back this way. Notice this little weight line that's going to pop up in this area. That's what we're looking for. So even for someone with hands the size of mine, this is a bit difficult. So what I'm going to do is split this in half, give it a little twist so we don't lose it, projecting the hair forward. Here's the first part of our corner, which we need to smooth out. Don't drop it. And here comes the second part. Doesn't seem like a lot, but look at that. That's where our fringe started, so we need to connect those. Very important. Perfect. Working this section straight back up into the middle. For those of you who are technical, this is then increased layering. Increase being everything is brought to the same point. And then we'll probably have one more section here until we run out of hair. Try and scoop it all up. As I always say, if the hair falls out, don't go chasing it. There's a reason why it's fallen out, and we don't need to cut it. There's just that little bit there. Gotcha. Head this way, gorgeous. Just want to show the movement and the shape that you get from that. All the way through there. It's absolutely stunning shape. It's a great way to reinvent a classic bob shape without compromising the length of the client. So this might be ideal for someone who's growing their bob out. You might want to alter the balances. You may not want to do this as short as I have. You may want to leave it longer, but the shape can can be adapted to any length of hair. It just, I guess that's what it comes down to, being creative. As individual hairdressers, we like to experiment with different lengths, and you can take a technique, and by leaving it longer or shorter, you're actually reinventing the haircut and making it look completely different. And that's the beauty about being a creative person, is it gives us license to be able to adjust things as we think necessary. Nothing to cut there. Head forward, gorgeous. Amazing. Spin you back around, let's have a look. This is the key to know how good your haircut is. If someone can blow dry your hair with a flat brush and just some leave-in treatment, and it falls into place, everything can be stretched and burnt. So remember the W section. Let's go back and see why it was important to do that. What the W section allowed was to create this curtain, but also, more importantly, if you remember the part on the side, is to create this space here. Now this space can be used for a few things. It can be used to help the hair to flick out. It can be used to add softness onto the face when the hair is being worn back. But without separation there, it's just going to look really heavy and chunky right on a face where you don't want to do it. So rather than me texturizing and softening this like I'm about to do all that, when it's near the face, I like to use technique to be able to create consistency. So on both sides, you can see, just tilt your head this way, darling. You can see that we've created that same gap. And it's strategic, it's premeditated, and it's intentional. Nothing's being left to chance. I'm just going to adjust Sinead down a little bit. I'm going to stay here and focus on releasing some of this weight through the side. Only about 1 centimetre of the way in. We don't want to go too deep with this. 1 centimetre or 1/4 of an inch. I believe it is metric and imperial for you guys watching from North America. And again, projecting the hair above 90 degrees, so when it falls soft. And you can see the change it's starting to make now. And now you can see we're starting to get, although we haven't compromised our shape, we're starting to get that separation like we did here, but when it comes to working with face shape, I don't like to use texture to enhance face shape. That's why we use that technique. We'll spin Sinead around, we'll do the other side. Moving around into the back. Making sure we don't cut across our shape. Come back, we're starting to get separation. Yep, that looks cohesive. Just a little bit heavy here still. Great. Spin Sinead around for the back. Chin down for me, gorgeous. Thank you. This one I'll texturise back at this. I often say I'm not adverse to texturising scissors, but I do try and use my straight blades wherever I can. Working into this side now. Don't re-texturise here, you've already texturised. If it looks light, then move on. Now we're going to start by working back into this side here. And into the top. I'm going to work both ways. Really important that we're not going across like this because we're going to break our shape. We just want to soften. So make sure that you're coming straight in and we're not disrupting that shape. Last but definitely not least, we're going to go through this front area and we're going to break that up a little bit. I'm going to create some separation. I'm actually going to swap to a long comb. You'll see why in a second. Because I want to be able to hold the whole hair, or the whole section at once, so that I can actually get a real good gauge on how it's going to sit. So I'm doing, let's say, half the section. Comb goes back in. Not worried about the hair that I've just texturised it falling out. And just creating some beautiful texture in there so this starts to loosen up and move a little bit. For balance. Good. That side's a little bit straighter than the other. No, it is actually a touch longer, which I can adjust. We're talking millimetres. I said to Shanae before, if you take care of the millimetres, the centimetres will look after themselves. Just a little bit heavy here still. Ask you to bring your head this way for me. Let's comb this across and try and feel where it is. Yeah, it's there. Oh yeah, look how dense that is. Head forward for me. Just to create a little bit of separation, I'm just going to channel through here. That's over the top of our W section. And the hair that I'm getting is most likely, you can see that the hair underneath is falling out. So the hair that I'm most likely affecting and loosening up there is the hair coming from the top, not the hair coming from the perimeter, and that W section was for the perimeter. All right, let's grab the dryer, we'll give it a blast. How you feel? Reinvented? Mm-hmm. I want you to do me a favour. I want you to put your hands in it. So I want you to feel how amazing it feels after the rebond system. Don't be scared. Get your hands out. Yeah. Push it all back. It's great. How do you feel?
Good.
New haircut? Great. Great. I want to share a little hack with you guys today. Obviously, you can see let's just actually first start with a recap on the haircut. So I went in the back and we first started with layering at 90 degrees, and I could see it wasn't going to give me the shape that I wanted. So I went back and graduated. We went into the box layering. We went vertical. Don't forget, the best part of this haircut is that little M section in the front. If you're looking at it from this way, if you're looking at it from the top, we call it the wow or W section. And my little hack I'm going to share with you today is this amazing product, Miracle Extender. And I don't think people would use it as a styling product, but I actually do. So I'm going to show you how it can create amazing texture in the hair. And then what I always ask my clients to do is finish their hair themselves. Sinead, can you help me out now? I'm going to get Sinead to style her own hair. Let's see how she goes. Probably does it better than me, actually. It's perfect. Look at the lift, if I can spin around, the lift and the texture the Miracle Extender's given. It actually feels really silky and soft in the hair. One thing to note is I wouldn't go too heavy on brunettes with it because it can go a bit chalky. But for blonde hair, I found that a lot of texturizing sprays, because they may or may not have alcohol in it. I think the texture builder is also very good. But I found with the Miracle Extender, it actually feels quite conditioning. So when you put it into blonde hair or lightened hair, it actually feels nice and soft. So that's my little hack for today. Great texturizing. The inspiration, or what we've called our look for today, is purple grey matter. We're using the Colour Sync.
Yep, the Colour Sync Metallics in lilac and the grey, but again diluted with clear. Got a little bit of a sectioning pattern that we're going to use, a few zigzags, but I'll get into that a little bit later on.
So can you just briefly tell us why Sinead still has a regrowth today?
So I wanted to intentionally keep a little bit of a root shadow, and then we're going to use a bit of a darker lilac at the roots, fading into a lighter lilac and grey.
The reason why I asked is I think it's very important to understand what Blushing Blondes is about. Blushing Blondes is about reinventing hair and taking blonde on another journey, rather than always having to rely on having your regrowth done. So your hair doesn't necessarily need to be freshly lightened and clean. As we're going to see today, Sinead does have some regrowth, and the Blushing Blondes is all about reinventing that, and we're going to go from, say, a 1 month regrowth.
Yep.
So let's just run a quick scenario. Sinead had her hair done 4 weeks ago. She came in, she's like, look, we've done platinum, we've done butter, we've done all those traditional palettes that we'd normally attempt with blonde, and today with the technique, Blushing Blondes, we're going to reinvent her hair without having to come back and have that roots relifted. So without further ado, I think we should get started.
Sounds great.
Great, let's get going. You've got some amazing deep triangle sectioning going on here. Can you explain a little bit about why you're doing that?
So I've done them quite deep to create texture. We're going to utilise the triangle pieces to alternate the different tones that I'm using.
Great. So where is the hair going to be dark and where is it going to be light? Can you just give us a little quick rundown of where you're placing the colour? So
we've got Sinead's natural regrowth, and we're going to blend that shadowing into lighter.
I notice you have 1, 2, 3 different colours mixed up here, so that's going to be pretty exciting. Maybe as you start to go through, you can explain to us what you're putting and where and why.
Yep.
So without further ado, we're going to get Michelle cracking on this application. I'm really excited about seeing our inspiration, which we've named
Purple Grey Matter.
Purple Grey Matter coming up.
I'm taking care of my application here, making sure I've got enough colour to saturate the hair so we get a nice even result.
So we're obviously halfway through the process, Michelle. Just a quick recap on what you've done that lies beneath the foil there. So you've applied it onto the roots first, we saw that, and then?
Yep, so with my deep triangle sections, I've done my deeper lilac at the roots, melting the grey just into those deep triangle sections.
Perfect.
And now through the top, I'm just going to go through, do my regrowth with the deeper lilac, and then melt a lighter lilac through the mid-length.
I can just see a little glimpse. I'm not sure if you guys can see it, but I can see what's happening under there and it looks really exciting.
I finished my application. Now we're going to leave Sinead process for 20 minutes.
So Sinead's back. You can see that she now looks vastly different. I've applied some Bi-Large Hydrosource spray to the hair just to prep it for drying. So let's go ahead and dry this off and see what the colour looks like. Doesn't Sinead look different? Wow. So obviously you can see there's a massive shift in her colour. I'll let Michelle explain that in a second, but first I'm going to get into my haircut. Because I'm just going to do a little spin around because I really am digging this at the moment. Like the whole tuck behind the ear, little soft flick. I just wanted to show that as my little end style look for this colour. But what we're going to also get Sinead to do, I'm just going to spin around this way just so I can make sure you've seen what I wanted. Yeah. So we've almost got like a messy parting going on there. We've intentionally not done it straight. Tuck behind the ears, really bring those cheekbones out. And you can see this softness coming up from behind the ears. I'm really into it at the moment. I think it looks amazing. But we're going to do a little bit of a style change in a sec. But first, Michelle, the colour's gorgeous. Amazing.
Colour, as the name says, purple grey matter. So we have that lilac purple lilac at the roots, coming to some grey and some softer lilac through those ends.
Stunning, like.
Right. Thanks,
Yep, it's exactly how I was hoping it would look. Sinead, you need to do us one favour. I want you to get your hands in it. It's your hair. I want you to move it around. So we're going to spin you around back into the mirror. I want you to have a little bit of fun with it because I want you to show everyone that you can move this around and we can have a little bit of a different style. You need a bit of hand. Let's just shift this to the side. Let's do something more like that. Yeah.
How cute's that?
Yeah, it's amazing.
Love it.
Just pull it out of your eyes for us. Still with this texture, some volume on top, really cool layers. And there, if you want to show off a little bit of softness in the purple, we can. Spin back around, let me look. Yeah, love it. Cool.
Awesome.
So you can see again with the haircut and the colour, they need to work in synergy together. I think it's very important that, as we discussed before we started, and Michelle asked me about colour placement. You can see that no matter where we're pushing the haircut works and the colour works. So yeah, this is again one of our looks for the Blushing Blonde campaign here in Australia. Michelle, thank you.
Thanks.
Sinead, thank you. We love you and your hair, and hopefully we'll see you guys again real soon.